2 and 1. Being We're live. It's episode 1. It's that time of the week where we reflect, we plan. Michael, did you have any tickets that you wanted to get voted on?
No.
Or any other bits and pieces that you wanted to bring up?
No.
All right. That's easily done then. I'm trying to think if I've got any tickets that I want voted on. I don't know that I'm in any particular rush. I've been doing a couple of things today, which are one, trying to get it set up so that we automatically run. What is it? That we run this Cucumber twice when there's a failing test, just to sort of check if it's really failing or if it's an intermittent thing. There's something that John, I think, originally set up on local support, and I've pulled that over, and it might be working. Indeed. So, boom, 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 boom. I've also got the on staging. I've got the rubification of the Agile bot onto staging, and I'm just about to run some tests to see if that works or not.
Okay. Have you heard from Matt lately, or?
No, I have not heard from Matt at all lately. He was moving house, was the last that we heard.
That
And
was quite a while ago, right?
yeah, I mean, the last thing I think I heard from him was, let's just have a look. When was this? Like, he seemed quite interested in the Anthony Powell Society thing. And I'm just trying to find the date on this. Yeah, it's basically a month ago now. Yeah, I don't think we've heard from him anywhere in Slack for a month now. Yeah, that looks like the most recent one was a month ago. So I did follow up. I sent him an email. Haven't heard back. I mean, he did have a period before where he was sort of dropped off for 2 weeks and then came back very slowly later on. So it's difficult to know, as we've talked about. Some people, I think, when they just kind of like, you know, it could just be that he's, I mean, moving house is a big thing, and, you know, can get a couple of weeks to get, you know, good internet set up, depending on where you are. But he may just be, you know, taking a break. Oh, but Raul is here. Hey, Raul, how you doing?
Hello, everyone.
All right, long time no see.
Long time no see.
Hello, hello.
How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're doing okay. Yeah, we were just hanging out. We were just mentioning we hadn't seen Matt for a while, hoping he was all right. He's been moving house, which obviously is a big undertaking. Yeah. So we're just. I was mentioning a couple of things that I was doing. I've got some good stuff done. I don't know if we're necessarily. Michael didn't have anything he wanted to vote on. I don't know that I do. We've got this performance. The performance issue is dragging on. We haven't voted on it before. Did you have any website one related business, Raul? Anything?
No, I just saw the link and I thought, yeah, let me just drop by. And it's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, always welcome. I don't. I'm just thinking. Oh, well, I guess there's this ticket that I would be interested to vote on, which sort of relates actually to various things. Go on, Brain. End of the week. Because I might actually be doing some pairing with a new person on Sunday, and yeah, it'd be good to have the tickets there. What was it? So it was this one. This one is about. We've got the situation, actually, this specifically comes up from Craft Academy, because we've got a couple of people who are coming to the end of their year's free Craft Academy premium membership, and how about them having continuing. And we've got a framework to like insert their card details, but at the moment, because they weren't signed up through Stripe, it sort of tries to modify their existing Stripe customer, and so that fails. So what I'd like to do is just work on that specifically. So it's basically somebody who was not an existing Stripe customer could add, their card details via Stripe. Is basically the story there. And then the other story, I think we probably already voted on it, but so here's the other one, which is about adjust. So we've got like what they're called now? Not Makita. The Makita is a new one. Mentiv don't exist anymore. They were our sponsor. They have gone, but Makita is here, and they are a sponsor. So that needs to be changed over. So let's start with this one. It's probably easier. But this one is should be adjusting the main site so that we have we replace Mentiv with Makita. Any questions about that?
Oh, so Mentiv is like defunct now.
They have built this software. What they're saying to me is that they basically couldn't make a kind of profitable business model out of it, and they're now, they may open source the software or whatever. They're kind of going to go off in a different direction and do something a bit different, is what they said.
Okay.
So since they're not, the original deal that we had with them was that we would advertise them, and then they would promote us at the end of their classes, so like they were doing support for MOOCs students, and then when they got to the end, they would say, so like thinking about your ongoing learning, you could consider Agile Ventures. So since they're not running any classes anymore, there's not so much value there. Makita is now, Mentiv has been removed from the Agile development using Ruby on Rails MOOC, but Makita has been added in, and Makita is a different group, and they have actually had a few students come through them, and what they do is they have extra assignments for the students, and the students that pass them are put into teams to work on a paid project, which is kind of I think it's closed source, but it's kind of an interesting model. And they have had a few students through the MOOC. So we've got the vote running there in website 1. I think this is.
And what are they gonna do to sponsor you?
Well, so this is going to be another reciprocal that they'll put us on their website, and I've got an appointment to meet up with the CEO in London to sort of talk about other, possible collaborations there. All right, so we've got all of our voting there. Yep, and unsurprisingly, we're all agreed that is pretty straightforward. We have related tasks on the front with this one, which suggested in the marketing meeting, I don't know, which is one would be to break out the sponsors into different, like different sponsors are providing sponsorship at a different level, and so like Dree's providing a lot more than anyone else, pretty much. So there's an argument for like putting the silver, bronze, the different like many sites have there, but I guess we won't worry about that. I'll just want to. If I actually even got that in, no. So let me just add that while I think of it. This is show different sponsor levels. Next one is could we have admin interface updating these? Anyway, we'll just leave that on the backlog. So then now I've got this is sponsored. So this we've got this one. So we've got set up where there's some users in the system, they have premium, that don't have Stripe or PayPal accounts associated with them. We would like to allow them to sort of add their card information and their premium status continue uninterrupted. I was sort of thinking, maybe we can just do the card update feature that we put in and just do that for that user. But as I say, I think it tries to look for an existing Stripe customer reference. So I think it will have to like make a Stripe. It'll kind of have to like do a little bit more than it currently does. Any questions about this issue?
So, is there? Let me look a little bit at the code. So,
yeah, I was going to bring that up. We've broken it out. We've actually got a cards controller here, and so basically at the moment there's this endpoint which when people need to update their cards, they just sort of go to cards / their username update. Although actually it doesn't really care about their username. It basically then takes, see here, it tries to look for a Stripe customer ID on the currently logged in user. And then having done so, it pulls down the card, creates a new card, saves the card, saves the customer. It's interesting, it doesn't seem to actually, because I think what happens here is, so when the people go to this page.
So is it the idea for this that they're going to like say that they're sponsored by Craft Academy South Africa?
I mean,
or is it that they're sponsored by other people, or what?
That would be another feature which would be quite cool. I think is this the right thing? Yeah, here it's more. The critical need before that is that, for example, let's say that I was a premium member, but I didn't have any payment deals in the system because of Bootcamp, or so I've got some other sponsor. We would like the ability for that user to add a payment method. And so we have a method for updating card details, but at the moment it doesn't support adding a payment method unless you already have something in the system, so it sort of fails. So, I mean, one can imagine that did different interfaces to doing
so,
it.
I mean, one way would be when it goes to your, one way, right, would be when it loads that page there and you're logged in.
Loads this page, yeah.
So saying update, it would say add.
Right.
And it would like point to a somewhat different controller endpoint.
Yeah, or even the same one, it would just, even this one could just check for, is there an existing Stripe customer ID? And if there isn't, then it would just create one.
Right, but you'd have to worry about putting too much logic in that controller. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in the first instance, I'm just care about these people being able to update the. I mean, that logic can be pulled out into other places. I mean, I think the key thing for me is that we've got a card model here, and so we want to make sure that. I mean, I guess it would make sense to be, rather than running it through update, we could be doing it. We'd have a different. What is it? You end up usually having new and create, don't we?
Yeah.
So, and we put the appropriate logic for that in there. Now, of course, we don't receive the information about the card at all. When they use this, they get this pop-up, and it sends the data to the Stripe servers, and then I think we get redirected. So there's some kind of like ID in the params here that not quite sure how this actually what it's relying upon here in order to make sure that the new card is associated with the. So I mean, the
like does Stripe actually let you just put a card on file without like getting a subscription or paying for something?
I think so.
Because this is basically saying that, as far as we know, they don't have they're not actually a Stripe customer.
Right, exactly. They don't have an existing customer ID.
So, and we can't just reach out like from our server and like give them one. They have to interact with Stripe through JavaScript.
Well,
Is
I
that
don't know that.
correct?
I mean, I think we can create a customer ID from Ruby hitting the Stripe API.
We can just create a customer ID,
I believe so.
and that would just be associated with their details.
Mm-hmm. Well, or like if we actually created the customer via the Stripe API, so we've got customers, customer object, create a customer, creates a new customer object. So we would be, you know, choosing, like, we've got like our existing user who's logged in and we know their email address. So we can kind of use the API to say, right, create us a customer ID, like the customer ID on your side that has some of these properties, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then
it would essentially not have any of those properties necessarily.
well, there's the
It would
email.
just be, well, we're not sure if they want to use the email in our system, but yeah.
Well, we want the email. Well, you're saying you're not sure. Yeah, I mean the customer at this point, the customer may or may not want to have a different email associated with Stripe. I mean, at some level, I think the customer isn't thinking about it in terms of who has access to their email per se. I mean, you know, if
doesn't that little, does the card detail thing have like an email or no? It doesn't, right?
No. I mean, I think like the API is set up so that we can create customer objects and we can create subscriptions on them and so on, what have you. But then in order to have anything actually be charged, the card has to be created through the JavaScript element.
Right.
So I think what we would be doing here is that we would, you know, this would display the before we could even skip that step, we would be saying like, you know, create a customer entity in Stripe, you know, and then we would need to insert some information, you know, based, you know, insert some info based on our local logged in user, right? And then having done so, we would even the I mean this could pop up almost the same form, and like you were saying, say add credit card rather than update credit card, and then coming in here, having created the customer, I mean it would be similar code to this, but instead of retrieving the Stripe customer, we would create it and then do the same set of stuff here. So now set card associated with customer. Yeah. Now, I mean, we could argue that rather than the method of just adding card details, that
it actually does have an email.
What does the card does?
The update card details form has an email.
Okay.
If you look at it.
Right. That doesn't mean that the card itself has an email, but yeah. So if we can have a look at the, yeah, I think there's an email that you can kind of use that automatically associates the form has an email. But yeah, I think we can't create a card.
So what's the sequence of events here, like in terms of when you click on that button?
You're talking about the existing button,
yeah,
like this one.
Is that actually hitting the server immediately or no?
No, if we click the button, it pops up this form. Right? I mean, we see this page because we've gone to the edit endpoint, right? And so if we look at the cards here, here's edits. This is the script that basically makes this ready to appear. Yeah?
All right, and go back to the controller again, just...
And then so after I'm trying to control. So then once the that's just displayed that, and then we're back here.
So it's feeding back the card information.
Well, yeah.
It seems. I don't think what you're suggesting is going to work.
Okay.
Because, well, maybe it would. It does seem screwy, though. Like, it seems like Stripe is going to associate. I guess, is that their workflow? Like, the customer gives them a card, and then you, as the vendor, just decide you create the customer. I guess that's the workflow.
I think the general workflow is that the people are making a purchase of a product or a subscription, and if they do that, then it automatically creates a customer entity at that time. That's the usual workflow. We've added this additional workflow for an existing customer who wants to update their card.
Right.
So that has a slightly different workflow. And now we're talking about a situation where we've got an existing customer who doesn't have any card or even a customer account on Stripe, and they want to add a card.
But Sam, for those specific user, for instance, that get sponsorship from, say, an organization like Craft Academy, how do you handle their subscription? Do you actually create the subscription for them on website one?
We have a record that they are a premium member on website one.
Right.
But we don't create any representation of them in Stripe because there's no payment detail through that mechanism.
So this whole thing would just basically, we want to create a Stripe account for them and get a card on file.
Yeah.
And then that wouldn't like initiate a subscription or anything.
No. I mean, I think, one can imagine a much more seamless process where there was a representation in website one of how, how long they've been. It's actually different. Like Craft Academy, what's it called? Craft Academy South Africa, where you guys paid via credit card, that was run through Stripe. So there was a customer representation in Stripe. Yeah. And so that was a different setup. Whereas Craft Academy South Sweden was paid by, bank transfer, which wasn't hooked into any of the system. So, we have the representation in the system that certain individuals were premium members, but no stronger representation than that.
I mean, how easy? I mean, wouldn't it be easier to have those users then, like, formally go and subscribe for membership on Agile Ventures once the sponsorship is over? I mean, for those specific users.
Yeah, I mean, another way for them to do it. I mean, because the thing that we're looking at there is actually specifically for Stripe, and they could be going to the premium page, let's say, the premium member, and then they could be coming here and then signing up via PayPal or credit card. I guess the issue is, in order to charge them correctly, we need to have them do that precisely on the day that their free membership expires, and that's like a little tedious for them. So in my mind, I was like, if we can just get them to do the single thing of associating a card with their account, then on the back end, and they can do that at their leisure, anytime up to the date of the changeover, and then I can set up the subscription so that it starts at exactly the right time, so they get charged exactly the right amount of money.
Right.
I guess there's also things like coming in through the main gate. There's it includes a 7-day free trial. for starters, and there's other bits and pieces there. I mean, it's definitely like I would like, I want to make the process as simple and without arduousness as possible for the individuals, and I also want to give them, maximum flexibility in terms of how it all works. Going back to the code, what's odd to me here is that, so that we've got this, I mean, the Stripe token params there, it's basically the only thing we care about is sort of a Stripe token, and we've basically we've got it set up to handle, the test. That's only in there to like make testing easier. But so in principle, if we think about it without any of the test issues, what's happening here is that we grab the customer from the Stripe system, and then the card, we kind of go in and we say to customer sources, create card. And I guess the Stripe token like, in order for this to work, the only way I can see it working is that we're redirected back to this update page, and this Stripe token that's been put in there corresponds in some ways to the card. Do you know what I mean? And so this is the mechanism by which we associate the card that's just been entered with the current customer. And then we set it so that this will now be their default card going forward.
No, that card.save card's not actually like a rail. That's like a save. That's not like a Rails save. That's
no. This is a Stripe entity, and so this will, when we hit save here.
And customer is not really a full.
No. There are no Rails models being affected here at all. So the customer there, we've got this one step to save the card. I think that may only do stuff, I think, locally. It might reach out, but yeah, these two steps, one or both of them, certainly this one, are going to have an effect of sending a message to Stripe to like update the Stripe database. So in principle, so
like, do you basically, when you set up a subscription for someone or whatever, do you do it like by their customer ID or whatever?
Well, when we do subscription creation and we've got our subscriptions thing.
Yeah, you do it through. No, I mean, but if you
go on,
do it like in the interface.
Yeah, in the interface, I mean, I don't know that we necessarily like see the customer ID particularly.
But you'll see like their information, like their name or whatever. And their email.
I mean, I think what we've got, yeah, I mean, what happens when people are on like here, they get this form, which is not fundamentally different from that other form, except it's explicitly associated with a purchase of a particular thing, in this case the monthly subscription. And so they still put in their card number exactly, and everything in the center of the form is the same. That goes off to Stripe. The card is then kind of on Stripe. If we look at this, yeah, we actually explicitly create a Stripe customer based upon the email that the user put in here, in this form. And then, having created that Stripe customer, we then ends up being, yeah, in this case, no, that's all I think our internal stuff. Glade brand through Stripe. Yeah, I think that's maybe actually in the simple case. Once we've done create Stripe customer, that's it. Actually, I think all of this other stuff, this is adding the subscription information locally and like sending an email to the customer. Yeah, I think this process then just like, because this is the like Stripe already has the all of the data there that they need, but so they redirect to us, and then we have to reach out to them again to say, yes, we got the stuff, it's a done deal, it completed, and that's the final thing.
Okay, I guess we can vote. Everybody's good.
Yeah, I was just almost thinking that, like, presumably there's a you know, a mechanism like this, and it would be, we would then just like put the email to be, you know, like current.
I mean, we might be able to get the email back that the person put in that form.
Yeah.
Because there is an email form. So
yeah, I mean, and then there's an interesting question about whether we like which we prefer. We would, I mean, we may want to store. Yeah, I mean, the key thing, actually, more important is that we probably want that. Was it Stripe email? Assuming that actually comes back from here. But so what we would, the critical thing that we would want to be doing, as well as all of this stuff, is we want to be doing like a current user Stripe ID or whatever, Stripe customer ID, yeah, and set that equal to, you know, this customer ID or whatever it should be. Something like, I mean, that's probably going to be wrong in various places, but it would be something along those lines. Okay, well, have I made a voter? I haven't made a vote. Let's do voter. This is allow user to add card when they currently have none. And the ticket here, where's it gone? Boom, bing, boom, bing, boom. That's this one. All right. Any further thoughts, Raoul?
You want to vote, Raoul?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, but
you don't know. Have a think and tell us what you're thinking. No rush to vote.
I voted
okay.
because it seems like you guys figure out how you're gonna deal with it. So
okay, all right. Yeah. So okay. So we've both gone for medium, and you were thinking simple. So yeah. You're on the spot now. Unfortunately. But basically, you found our discussion so convincing and riveting. You were like, yeah, they know what they're doing. They'll find it simple to do.
Because I was going for medium. Like if I were to implement this, I was going for medium. But
yeah,
since you sounded like you had a solution like worked out already. So
yeah, I mean, I think we've got that might work. I mean, I go for medium because I'm hedging my bets because this might be based on faulty assumptions. And so, you know, I think we've got a strategy, but we might, I mean, we might go in there and just find.
There's also that like
work.
There's also like that lurking cache thing, isn't there?
When you say the cache thing, you mean the?
Oh wait! We've done something where like Stripe now is mocked out.
It's not using the cache. That's right. That's why we have this Stripe token here. Yeah.
Right. And now it's like happy days.
It seems to be basically stable, yeah. So I'm happy as a result of that.
Like when you change the code slightly, the world doesn't end. It's not like.
Strangely, no. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, there was a painful place that we were in, and big thanks to Amber, whose example using this approach was extremely instructive in setting up the same approach on here. Right. Guess what's funny, what I'm seeing here is I've got all of the Stripe API, but what I really want is the Stripe Ruby library, because presumably that will have documentation on other Stripe Ruby. That would have documentation on actually hitting the is it sensible to call customer create or charge list retrieve Stripe client? Is there more? What would be a good? They've got a wiki documentation. Ooh, customer. So they don't have a, well, it's instance methods. They have class methods. This is method summary. Create subscription for customers. Yeah, I mean, that's the way we might just find that there is. Anyway, that's all the fun of the fair for when we get the thing done. We'll put the size 2 in there and move that across. Yeah, and one of the things that I think as I was kind of going through this is that useful emerge, but and going forward to set up a framework so that the model that we have for the subscriptions on the website, one side kind of has like a start and an end date and a like the stuff that is all stored on Stripe, which we don't really have. Like if we look at I think we've evolved the schema to like have more things. So we have like payment sources, and we have a model of plans, because of course they're not necessarily paid for by Stripe. They might be paying through PayPal. I think do we have subscriptions? Yeah. So we do now have this started at and ended at and so on, but we don't we didn't have that when we first started. So we kind of maybe need to retrospectively go in there and make sure all the dates make sense, and then build logic around. Okay,
do you feel like you need to dive into domain-driven design?
Well, there's the I love. It's a bit like a dolphin going in and out of the water of the surface. You do a bit of BDD, and then you dive back down. You do DDD, and then you dive up, and you do BDD, and then DDD. Yeah. I mean, I'm pleased that with we're kind of like in process.
I mean, we're one of the few people that apparently actually got through the Blue Book.
One of the few people who actually read the book.
Read the Blue Book, it's called.
Yeah.
Because most developers kind of start reading it, and they're like, it's like you're supposed to read it.
Yeah.
It's like eating cabbage, and they're like, I don't like cabbage.
No, sure.
This is really boring, and then they stop like 100 pages in.
Absolutely, yes. It's quite a heavy going, but I persevered, and I'm pleased that I did, because some of the better stuff is towards the end. They should like cut off the first half of the book or something. Anyway, there we go. We've got 2 stories voted on, which is actually very helpful. Yeah, I guess that brings us to, does anybody want to take on any work that we have going on?
No, this is all for the AIs.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got. I mean, I may take on one or other of these things on the weekend, depending upon what my pet partner wants to work on. But yeah, my big thing is now. I have actually managed to clear out a lot of the things that were assigned to me in the ready column. Like I've updated all the premium pages and different so on, whatever. That leaves actually now a couple of things. We've actually got this one reveals, this is based on the design sprint, is to do that second page of like a different front page, and then do a A/B test on it. So maybe we'll get to that before too long. But yeah, the 2 things that I'm working on are one of them has been merged in, is actually both of them merged in. I'm just hoping they both work now. So I've just got these 2 things in, and I'm testing them, which is one, this rerunning Cucumber to like try and address the intermittent failures, and the other one is this rubification of AgileBot. So
okay.
There we go.
I remember how I was saying, so I probably need to start Maybe I'll just start doing some things with Website 1 again or something, because
Oh yeah.
we've just been doing the data mining stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, someone told me that. Do you remember how I was complaining about tuning the models for Python, like porting the models that we have in R to Python?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, supposedly Uber runs everything on top. Like, they run models in R in production in something called Spark R.
Okay. So they're running all of their like data analysis and prediction stuff.
Like, apparently they're actually running real predictive models in R, like in production.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of interesting because Uber has like a huge scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that's where we want to be ultimately.
What, at Uber scale?
No, Uber scale. No, I mean like well, I wouldn't complain. But I was no, I mean a few more years. But the thing I was thinking of specifically was like being able to run our predictive models
like automated
in the cloud and automated, and just and be doing and completely automate the process of like reaching out to people and bringing more into the fold, shall we say?
For the AI.
Yeah, I mean it's all doing it ultimately in service of the AI. We want to create a comfortable world for our AI overlords. Why would we not? Because anything that we did, they would crush us. And so yeah, long live the AI overlords. We live to serve. Yeah, I'm just noticing. I think also this. Yeah, that's actually been fixed there. That one. So just getting things backlog. Great. Well, we've got the community meeting coming up in half an hour. I'm going to go make a cup of tea and probably a toasted fruit bun for myself. Yeah, Raoul, great to see you. I hope everything is good. You're still based in South Africa?
Yep. Still in Pretoria.
Yeah, and working remotely.
Do you attend the community meeting or?
I will see if I'm not busy with something else or not away from the computer. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, just reach out. If there's anything we can do to help, you or Craft Academy South Africa or anything at all, we're around.
Yeah, definitely.
Great to see you.
It was good seeing you guys again.
Bye for now. Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.